Thank you, Tim, and thank you everyone for joining me this morning, and welcome to Andromeda Metals. And as Tim said, we aim to be a developer and producer of halloysite-kaolin, which I will tell you all about shortly. A quick corporate overview to start off with. Those numbers actually have changed a bit due to a well-received announcement this morning, but we're sitting on about 100 million market cap, a bit over now. Cash-wise, we're in a strong position. About 3.5 in the bank, and about 6 million more to come through from our options, which means we're funded right through until decision to mine, which is a good position to be in. Board members are a strong mix of experienced people, and as you see the share price there, we've recently been going in the right direction and hope that continues. Next slide, please. Okay, so our assets are primarily, we have our focus is on the halloysite-kaolin project, which we call the Great White Kaolin project. And this is a joint venture with Minotaur at the moment. And we also have Mount Hope, which is 100% owned. They're all those are a number of resources of halloysite-kaolin. Additional assets we have, which are joint ventured out and all progressing quite nicely behind the scenes. We have a couple of gold projects there with Evolution and Cobra, and a copper project as well in South Australia. Next slide, please. So, Great White Kaolin project. So this is our number one focus at the moment. What we have here on the Eyre Peninsula of South Australia is among the world's largest high purity and consistent halloysite-kaolin reserves and resources. The whole area is covered in this stuff, and we've got a significant amount of that material already identified. It's located to some essential infrastructure, so we've got 3 shipping opportunities there, which are very clear and very useful for us as an industrial mineral. We've got a very robust pre-feasibility study that's just come out. We also got some high purity halloysite at Hammerhead deposit there, which you see on the map, and we've recently found some ultra high purity kaolin as also in Mount Hope, which is down south a bit. We've got some multiple opportunities in the halloysite nanotube technologies, and I'll tell you all about that shortly. Some blue sky opportunities, and we're also working on high purity alumina project in the background as well. Next slide, please. So what are the key takeouts here? So first of all, Andromeda Metals is a low capex project, short payback period, and a very large scale potential. So we do aim to be the largest in the world in this area, and we've certainly got that opportunity there in front of us. Also, kaolin is something you may not know of, or may not have never heard of, but kaolin is a white dirt, a clay mineral that's you use every day. So it's widely used, and there's millions and millions of tons used around the world every day. And in the high quality section of that industry, where the high quality halloysite-kaolin sits, the global supply is reducing, so it's put us in a very strong position at the moment. As I mentioned, we tend to be the largest producer of halloysite-kaolin, and also into the nanotechnology which is associated with that material. Next slide, please. So what is halloysite-kaolin? Some of you may have seen this before, others who haven't. So kaolin or kaolinite, which I mentioned before, is the material on the top left, flat plates of about 2 microns across. In certain circumstances, they roll up into nanotubes, which is the middle picture. Those tubes are from our Camel Lake, which is a very high purity halloysite prospect we have. But the Great White resource that we have in our PFS, that is a picture on the right, which is a hybrid. So it's a blend of tubes and plates, which gives some very interesting properties, which I'll explain shortly. Next slide. So I mentioned before that kaolin is used everywhere, used every day. So for example, there's about 2.5 kilos of kaolin in every car driving around the world. And it goes into all its applications you can see pictures of. Just over 26 million tons a year of kaolin was sold in 2019. And you see ceramics there, which is the main target for our halloysite-kaolin at the moment, is about 34% of that, so about 9 million tons a year. But we are in the top high quality sector of that, so a sort of subset of that is where the halloysite-kaolin sits. And also in the paint and coatings there, about 2 million tons a year. and our Mount Hope prospect, our Mount Hope resource, sorry, is about, it sits in that area, again, in the high quality area subset. Next slide, please. This morning we had an interesting announcement came out. This is something we've been working on behind the scenes. Now, our PFS has been based entirely on sales into the ceramics industry and the high quality porcelain industry. Gave us some very good numbers. But in the background, we've been working on other applications to diversify the risk and also give us some new opportunities and some actually more attractive opportunities. And what we found is that the halloysite-kaolin, which comes from the Great White and also our Hammerhead deposit now, gives some very interesting properties in construction materials and concrete specifically, and backfill for underground mines. And this is an area I've been working in for the last 10 years or more, so I know a lot about this area. So it's been very pleasing to get these results. And you see that it's on the graph on the left. When you put in as little as 1 kilo into 1 cube of concrete, which is not much, that works out about 0.075% based on the cementitious content. You get some very clear benefits. And here we got some very good early strength results, which go in line with the addition level, and also bleed reduction, which is very important for some concrete applications. So at the moment we're progressing that. 28 days testing is next, and then we'll take that through to 90 days. The good news here is that we're talking about a potentially very high value application. We've had indications from major concrete users that they would be prepared to pay somewhere in the region of $4,500 to $5,000 a tonne for this material, which for a halloysite-kaolin mineral from the ground, which has just been desanded, presents a huge opportunity for us. So the Australian standards are being passed at the moment. They shouldn't take too long to be ticked off. And then we will start to spread that work out into other areas, because this concrete is a big market in Australia, which is very nice for us, but there's also a huge potential worldwide, and there's over 2 tons of concrete per human being in the world, so a massive opportunity for us there. Next slide, please. Halloysite itself is the most researched clay mineral in the world by a long way, by an exponential amount. I won't run through that list of applications there, potential applications, but some real high value blue sky opportunities. And we are working in our joint venture with Minotaur, Natural Nanotech joint venture, and we are building a $1.5 million pilot plant, which should be operational next month. And then we will start to progress that opportunity rapidly. Next slide, please. Current highlights. So I mentioned our PFS for the Great White project. Now this isn't incorporating things like the concrete opportunity. This is purely based on ceramics. So we've got a 12.5 million tonne ore reserve, which is mainly the high halloysite component, which is very important. That gave us an NPV of $736 million and an EBITDA of just over $2 billion. So it's a very big numbers there, based on a 26-year mine life. Mining at a rate of 500,000 tonnes per year. That gives us a 15-month payback and an IRR of 175%. Also in the midterm, behind that we've now got the Hammerhead, which is our high-grade halloysite, and we're getting some fabulous results in concrete with that material. We've got high-purity kaolin resource at Mount Hope, which we're working on as well, and the nanotube applications where testing is underway. Next slide, please. Just a quick look at market value. These aren't necessarily in the right scale, but it gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. So the PFS, the first column there, based on $700 a tonne for material, and based on letters of intent for offtake that we already have, it's about a 50% profit. But that jumps up if now we're looking at potential concrete and mine backfill. You're looking at the same material but sold for about $4,500 a tonne, so a massive increase there. And again, another quantum leap into the high purity halloysite, which actually sells for thousands of dollars per gram. Next slide, please. So what's next? Mining lease approvals, they're in progress and they're being ticked off as we go along. The DFS is also in progress. Customer offtake agreements, so we're working on that with a new company we engaged for marketing services. The Hammerhead resource is imminent, and that's looking very impressive. Also, a resource at Tiger is coming through quickly. So we'll progress those to potential studies as fast as we can. We're also going to improve on the building product application testing, and there's lots of that happening at the moment. The halloysite nanotube application research, that's ongoing at University of Newcastle. We're also looking to secure an HPA alliance, also in progress, and tie a high purity halloysite resource as well next year. Also lots of industrial mineral opportunities we're looking at, which we could bolt on to what we're doing. Looking forward to commencing operations at Great White in early 2022. Next slide. So that's it. In summary, very quickly there, we've got one of the largest resources of its type in the world. It's high-value industrial minerals selling into a low volatility market. Global demand's increasing, supply is decreasing, low capex, short timeline. We've got a very simple business model, low impact mining. It's just like quarrying operation, and we intend to be the world's biggest miner of this material. Also got huge potential now in the new applications I mentioned, and opportunities to build a diversified industrial minerals business. Thank you.
Thanks, James. You got through a lot there, thank you, in a short space of time. Incredible story. So halloysite, where else is this mined in the world?
Well, for the pure halloysite itself, there's only one mine in the world, which is in New Zealand, and it's about 10,000 tonnes a year and decreasing, and some issues with that. So, and that material actually isn't suitable for new applications in its own right. So there's a huge opportunity there because there's virtually no supply of the pure halloysite. Now, the blend material that we have at Great White, there is some other blend or hybrid material around the world, but nothing of the purity that we have and of the consistency we have. So this is definitely a unique resource of this material. As I mentioned, we've got 26 million tonne resource, but we're looking on multiplying that in the coming weeks.
And with so many applications for this material, how do you determine, you know, you start at concrete and ceramics, how do you work out how you get into the other applications and its use?
Well, luckily I've spent over 30 years now in this industry and involved in the marketing side of these products. So I know where the value sits in certain areas. So we just target where the high value is, where I know customers will need the material we've got and will be prepared to pay for it. But also like this concrete application, you know, we suspected from the mineralogy we have and the chemistry we have that it would work in this application, and it's proven that it will work in this application. So this is a whole new area for us that has never been done before anywhere in the world. So no, potentially we're sitting on something here that's value-wise is 4 or 5 times our current PFS numbers.
Right, and you spoke about concrete. There's just some questions here. You know, what are the cost savings for kaolin being added, and could you share some of the preliminary results in regards to, you know, strength tests in that concrete?
Yeah, so it's still early days there, although we did a lot of preliminary work before we got to this stage. But yeah, if you put 1 kilo in of the HALLOYSITE-KAOLIN, it's amazingly effective in the concrete. It works on the ionic potential of the material and the charge versus the particle shape. So when you put it in there, you get much better handling properties, much better rheology, as well as this strength improvement. So it means you can optimize the formulation. You can reduce cement, you can reduce water, reduce chemicals, increase coarse aggregate. You have all sorts of additional savings. So at a cost of say $4.50 or $5 per kilo going into the concrete, the knock-on effects are tremendous, and we've already had a major concrete player saying that they would buy it at that price as soon as we could supply it. So that's a good indication of how genuine this opportunity is.
And a question here on the life of the mine.
So at the moment we've got a 26-year mine life based on the PFS, but as I mentioned before, the resource, the Hammerhead resource very close by is coming out, and indications are that it'll be multiples of that added on. So possibly upwards of maybe 100 years of supply there eventually.
And can you kind of give us some evidence how to support your kind of price assumption?
So for the ceramics business, we used a number there that's an average in the, we took the average across the world for that ceramics industry, what companies currently pay for it. And then which was actually worked out at 715 Australian dollars per tonne, and then we went a bit lower to be conservative. So For the high end of the business, which is, say, the porcelain, very high-end ceramic business, they will be prepared to pay usually $715 a tonne. So we base the PFS on that. Although moving forward now, when you move to the building products, which is say up to $4,500 a tonne or possibly more, and the pure halloysite, again about $5,000 a tonne, then that will be, just as we move forward, that will be incorporated into our business model and business plans.